Okay, so we're going to be finding standard deviation here. So here's what I have. I have a random sample of 5 apples that I went and picked, and here are the circumference of the apples that we have. Now our formula for standard deviation we've got right here, and here's what this tells us. Now realize this is S sub x, which tells us that it is a standard deviation of a sample, because you would agree that these are not all of the apples at the apple farm. Okay, so here's what we do first. First we take each value, that's the x, subtract from the mean. That gives us the distance it is away from the mean. Then we square those values. After we square, we divide by n minus 1, and as soon as I do that, that gives me the variance, and then I take the square root to get back to the standard deviation, which tells me the typical distance a value falls from the mean. And that's important. So the typical distance a value is from the mean. Alright, since we're here, might as well talk about the mean real fast. And here's our mean. Our formula for the mean says we take the summation of all of our values of x and divide by n. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look. So here's my 5 values that we have. So first I need to figure out how far they are away from the mean. So I'm going to take each value of x minus x bar. Okay, so I'm going to go through. I'm going to find out what x bar is. I'm going to add up all those values. And I see that it gives me a mean of 10. Add them all up and divide by 5. Okay, so take each value, do 10 minus 10, and so this one would have a deviation of 0. 9 minus 10 would have a deviation of negative 1. 11 minus 10 would be positive 1. 9.5 minus 10, negative 0.5, and 10.5 minus 10, and that equals 0.5. Now here's the whole reason we have to do this. If I add all these values up, look, negative 1, positive 1. So negative 1, positive 1, negative 0.5, positive 0.5, they all add up to give us 0. That's why now I need to do something to get rid of that. And so what we do is we take all these values and we square them. Alright, so let's square all these values. We got 0, 1, 1, 0.25, 0.25, and I add all these values up now, and this is giving me this value. When I add all these values up, it gives me the summation of each of the x minus x bars. Alright, and so let's see, that would leave us with 2.5. Okay, so our squared deviations is 2.5. So now what I do to find out, well, let's find out the variance first. So what I want to do is I want to take 2.5 and divide by n minus 1, the number of values that I have over here, which was 5, minus 1. And so I do 2.5 divided by 4, and that leaves me with 0.625. Okay, so that's the variance. So if these were all in inches, this is now in inches squared. Now I take the square root, 0.625, and that leaves me with 0.79. And so here's what that means. The typical apple circumference is 0.79 inches from the mean. And there we go. That's exactly what standard deviation means.